If the undefeated Buffalo Bills think the winless Jacksonville Jaguars are going to come to town on Monday night and just lay down, they have another thing coming. Jacksonville is desperate, need a win, cannot go 0-3, Chris, or their season is over.
And look, I'm normally going to be the Bills cheerleader on the show for sure, but I think you're kind of right. This is a good Jags team, and they are going to be desperate, and I think the numbers speak for itself. 0-2 teams since the playoff format was expanded. Only 2 of them have ever made the playoffs, the 2022 Bengals and 2023 Texans. So, Stevie, we'll bring you in here. What is it like as being an 0-2 team with your season essentially on the line in week 3?
Yeah, nothing is more dangerous than a team with their back against the wall, and then you have pieces that's actually been successful against this Buffalo team, it's dangerous, but I'm just going to lean on experience as far as a Showtime experience. And Josh Allen has prevailed more times than Trevor Lawrence has when it comes to being on Showtime. So I'm looking forward to intangibles taking over this game and seeing how things go.
They're 0-2 this Jags team, but they're better than their record. And I think even if they go 0-3, which they just might, they can still make the playoffs in that division.
Welcome into Broken Table on the TSN YouTube channel. Aaron Korolnek, Chris Hein, Stevie Johnson, and a special guest, our man Davis Sanchez.
Hey, Chezzy.
TSN football analyst, NFL star, CFL star, joining us around the table. Ahead of a game, fellas, I'm really excited about because you guys mentioned it, Jacksonville 0-2. Again, there have been 6 teams in the Super Bowl era who have made the playoffs after starting their season 0-3. This team is going to be throwing everything they can at the Buffalo Bills on Monday night. I'm really curious to see, Davis, how the Bills counter what Jacksonville is going to be trying to do, especially with their passing attack.
Yeah, it's going to be that. It's going to be a passing attack. I know the convo, and I'll be honest, I'm getting kind of sick of the everybody eats mantra. It's kind of annoying. And they asked Sean McDermott in the post, or actually at halftime, they asked McDermott, you could see him almost roll his eyes like, all right, I heard enough of this. But this has been a run-first team, right? That's been the conversation, like, let's run the ball. This is who we are since Joe Brady came in. They're going to have to win one-on-one right now, these receivers against Jacksonville. That's going to be it. Jacksonville played 50-something% man coverage in the first 2 weeks, more than anybody in the NFL. And what's been the weakness to this Bills team over the last few years? It's other than Steph Diggs, who could win one-on-one? And now that whole everybody eats thing, it doesn't work in one-on-one. You got to find who can win. And that's going to be, to me, the most important thing and what's going to decide this game is which one of those guys is it? Who is it? Coleman, Kincaid? Who can win outside or who can win one-on-one?
Well, it's a good thing we have a receiver working on the show with us, Stevie. Who's the receiver who's going to beat man-to-man coverage Monday night?
You're going to have to just plug your ears because it's going to be everybody eat continues. The difference with this team and last year's team, is we want to find out who's going to win, but we're not just isolated on that. Maybe you'll win on that play, but we're not going to continue to force feed that area. When we saying the everybody eat thing, it might be a quick undershot underneath to a tight end, or to a running back, or to a receiver. So it's really everybody collectively, not just the receivers. And I think that's much more dangerous on an NFL team when you have multiple threats as opposed to keying in on only 1 or 2 threats on the team.
Also, too, when you say a lot of man coverage, my ears kind of perk up when looking at the FanDuel odds and Josh Allen's rushing yards, because Josh Allen sees man coverage. What's he do? Better than anybody. Takes off and run. So this could be a nice running game for Allen if he's seeing all that man coverage.
The most, over 50%, more than everybody in the NFL. Let me ask a quick question, and I'll ask it quick for all of you guys, and then Stevie, give us yours. 3rd and 7, though, you got to have it. A key down in the game. There's got to be someone, if you get one-on-one across the board, that you don't know could win, or your guy. For the Bills right now, you got 3rd and 7, matchups one-on-one across the line. Who you got?
For me, it's Dalton Kincaid.
Dalton Kincaid, same thing. I think
Kincaid's the guy. Who you got, Stevie? 3rd and 7 right now, game on the line.
That's my pick, Dalton Kincaid. He's a hybrid. He's a threat. He can juke. He has all of the moves to get open in space. And I'm also going to give you a sleeper, Mac Hollins. He knows how to find soft spots in zones, and he knows how to understand reading defenses to get in certain places that he needs to be. So I think he's going to elevate his game throughout this season. So be on the lookout for Mac Hollins.
In what has become almost a league-wide trend, the running game is at the top of everyone's mind. It's the most rushing yards through 2 weeks since 1988, the fewest passing yards since 1996 on average per team. And the Buffalo Bills are almost exhibit A since Joe Brady took over as their offensive coordinator, Chris. This is the team that rushes the third most in the NFL. This is a team with Josh Allen as its quarterback. It's incredible to think that those disparate statistics could be the case.
He plays into those rushing yards as well.
He does, absolutely. But it seems like we talk about everybody eats, but at the end of the day, James Cook is still the focal point of this offense. I just wonder how long that can continue without showcasing some of the top offensive weapons elsewhere.
Since Joe Brady took over, yards. Oh, let me just bring up the graphic here and look at this. Cook is second in the NFL, 5.77 scrimmage yards per touch since 2022. Only one guy's higher than that, and that's Christian McCaffrey at 5.88. So if you're performing at the level of Christian McCaffrey, why don't you want to give James Cook the ball? Now, this could be a Josh Allen game, and I'm sure we all want to see a big Josh Allen game. If it doesn't work for Cook, isn't it great to fall back on arguably the second best or best quarterback in the NFL to kind of go off?
Seems to me like that would be an ideal situation. Stevie, you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, definitely. I like where you at with this, Chris. But Aaron, don't you try to push that narrative, because that's going to try to get the people to force Josh to throw, get the offensive coordinator to change his mindset, which I don't think he will listen, because he's seeing the success from running the ball. But don't you start that, man. We already away from it. We got a good balance with this run game. We're utilizing our threats, and later on we'll let Josh out the bag when his need be.
One other thing with Josh too, no interceptions through the first two games. He's never gone 3 games to start a season without an interception. And that is because he has this running game to lean on. So you're seeing almost a mistake-free Josh Allen. He had the lost fumble in the first game against Arizona. But since Joe Brady, he has turned it over a lot less than he normally has. And that's always the big knock on him, is he turns it over too much. But if he's keeping it clean and James Cook is helping that, just roll with it.
It's never the turnovers for me when Josh is forced to be that special, the Superman Josh. Turnovers are going to happen, but you get, the second best quarterback in the world, and that's part of it. He can bring you back from down 21. He can march down the field 90 yards in the fourth quarter. He might throw a pick here and there, but that's part of it. But to Stevie's point, to your guys' point, if they can ride the run game, what I said the other week was there's less volatility in the offense the way it is now, which is a change for this Bills team and a refreshing change, and something I think can help Josh with his health throughout the season, and also just a different formula for this team to win.
Now, we're getting two polar opposites in terms of the quarterbacks here. Trevor Lawrence, 0 in his last 7 regular season starts. Josh Allen, 7-0 in his last 7 regular season starts. So what is it with Trevor Lawrence where this was one of the most hyped first overall picks? Is he just not that guy, or is it coaching? Is he has good receivers? So what is it with Trevor Lawrence?
You got it, AK?
I mean, Trevor Lawrence might be overrated, and I understand that he is one of the highest paid quarterbacks, but it's not like he's devoid of quality receiving options. Christian Kirk is a competent receiver. They used the first-round pick on Brian Thomas. I mean, we know Evan Ingram missed last week, probably almost most certainly will miss this week as well. They have quality receiving options. They have Etienne in the background, in the backfield, There's no excuse for Trevor Lawrence, and I would argue that Jacksonville's weapons are superior to that of Buffalo's, and yet it's Josh Allen who week after week is leading the Bills to wins, and it's Trevor Lawrence week after week that is leading his team to losses. So I think it's just fair to say we're just talking about two separate guys in separate categories. Allen in a category much above where Trevor Lawrence is at this point in their respective careers.
That's no doubt. There's no question. I don't know if he's overrated. Depends on where you have him rated, I guess. I mean, he's probably
he's not a top 10, right?
No.
Like, he can't be in the top 10.
If top 10 quarterbacks that you would take right now, he's right there.
So let's play either or.
Yeah.
Are you taking Dak or Trevor Lawrence?
Dak.
Okay, so are you taking Brock Purdy or Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence.
That's a hot take. Elaborate. Scorching hot.
Put Trevor Lawrence in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Bye-bye.
Come on. Stevie, what do you think?
See, that's where I want to come in at. It's all about scheme. You can have talented players, you can have the name players, but if your skill set don't mesh with the scheme that's being ran, then it's just not going to click. And I'm with Davis on this also. I can't say he's really overrated, because where do you have him? He's kind of just in between right now, but he's very talented. So it's just about the next scheme that he go to, or coaching staff that come in and have certain reads and things and identify to more of his skill set than what he's doing, what he's in right now.
So would you guys put this on Doug Peterson?
I don't know about that.
I mean, it's a collection. I would say I mean, if we see what this kid has done and what he's able to do, but then you put these pieces around and then it's not being shown like, hey, why isn't it happening? Well, maybe it is the scheme. Maybe you need, instead of like I think about Bryce Young out in Carolina. Like it's similar. They got pieces, they got the right play calls, they got the right mindset. However, it's just about, okay, when it's a hot read, you got to have players that understand that, okay, the guy's coming off the edge, so my route is not going to be 10 yards and at 8, I'm going to look around. You go be looking at 4 or 5 or something. You know what I mean? You go have that understanding, that IQ. And sometimes it's being taught within that scheme. And sometimes you just have players like myself that's like, okay, I'm just going to space create. I'll see what's happening and I'm going to connect with you. That's rare. But, you know, it comes down to coaching. You're there every day. So not saying that the coaching there is bad there or in Carolina, is just probably not meshing with the team and the skill set that they have right now. So that's my take on it.
One thing you said, Chris, he's overrated. This is the biggest problem I have with all football fans in the world right now, okay? It's that everyone is not Patrick Mahomes. So when you say, and I'm not saying you're saying he's Patrick Mahomes, but every quarterback is trash. It's like, you can go, we got
He's
three.
making $250
Forget about
million.
Trevor Lawrence. I know, but you can only compare him to the other guys in position. You can't compare him to the money that you think he deserves. It's a chart and a ladder of quarterbacks. So you got the first 5 guys. After that, everyone thinks everyone's trash.
So I'll say this. I said overrated in terms of, we all watch this guy at Clemson. He won a national championship. Everyone said this is one of the best quarterback prospects we've seen since Andrew Luck. Okay. So given what the expectations were, he has not lived up to those expectations at all.
His expectations there would be a top 3 pick quarterback in the world, then sure.
Then you factor in what Aaron said. You factor in the contract. He's $55 million a year. I think we did our quarterback list at the beginning of the year for another TSM video. I had him around 12, 13. So if you're not in the top 10 and you're in that 11 to 20 range, you're average. 1 through 10, good to great. Actually, it's probably tiered. I think you have 1 and 2, great. 3 to 6, you have a group of guys who are really good.
5 to 10 is not going to be great if you ask the general public. After number 5, 6 through 15, you're not going to. I would think a lot of them are really good, but 6 through 15, the average fan's going to say a lot of them aren't good.
I think if you talk to the general public about a lot of things football, they're going to say dumb stuff, and that's why the 4 of us are talking, and it's not the general public with us, right?
This is the classic "Is Joe Flacco elite" debate from the Baltimore Ravens days, and that was the most divisive debate in football for a long time. And now apparently it's shifting over to Trevor Lawrence. One of the receiving options of Trevor Lawrence's I did not mention is Gabe Davis, who makes his return to Buffalo. I imagine a solid round of applause for Gabe Davis is in store when he's officially introduced. Stevie, you did not return to Buffalo after you left, but I'm certain you saw a number of teammates come and go over the years and return when you were with the Bills. What do you think that's going to be like for Gabe Davis on Monday night?
Yeah, I think they'll welcome Gabe with a good welcome. And, you know, he's put his heart into, you know, what he did out there as far as setting records with 4 touchdowns. The effort that he showed in the playoffs versus the Chiefs, and just throughout the season, his grit playing through injuries. You know, I think they'll give him a good welcome. But once, you know, the introductions is over with, they'll be clapping more for when he's getting shut down and getting hit and banged up. So that's what we're really looking forward to.
David, did you ever have to return to a place where you played before in your career?
Yeah, but the difference between me and Stevie's, when I went back, no one knew who the hell I was.
One big thing I'm excited about for this game specifically and moving forward is that the pass rush is finally back for the Bills. Von Miller leads the NFL in pressures. Greg Rousseau, 3 sacks, top 5 in the NFL. Does the pass rush, Davis, I know you're sort of out on the Bills secondary, maybe not the corners, but more so the safeties. Is the pass rush being elite enough to protect maybe not the greatest safety pairing at the moment?
Sure. It would be 2 things. It would be pass rush and then scheme. Sean McDermott is the most underrated defensive mind in football. That's a fact. What he's done with what I think is subpar talent, and Bills fans, don't get me saying that I'm down on the safeties or I don't think they're very talented on defense. It's actually a compliment. I'm just looking at the roster composition. They're not that talented, but they're damn good. So that's a compliment to guys overachieving, scheme. They did a great job from Brandon Beane in drafting, because these 6, 7, 5th round picks over the last 3-4 years on his defense are playing a ton of football, and they're in the top 5 defense every year. with guys that aren't that talented. So I don't think they're great in the back end. No, I think their corners are excellent zone corners and play great in that scheme, and I've been super impressed. But that's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to have Khair Elam and Tre'Davious White play man-to-man coverage and draft in the first round and pay Trey a bunch of money, and that's what they were morphing to 2 years ago. Yeah. But Khair was a bust, and Trey got hurt, and now they got to do whatever they got to do, which is tip of the cap to that. It's impressive.
We've talked a ton about the Bills' defense and the secondary in particular. It's the perfect time to segue into Stevie Johnson's Why So Serious Villain of the Week. Stevie, take it away.
Why so serious?
All right, first off, it's an honor to be having this session, this Why So Serious Villain of the Week session, for a couple reasons. One, when I done this thing 10 plus years ago, I was coming in with the mindset of being the villain to wreck the day. The second reason is because I'm on with David Sanchez, a DB, and my villain of the week is the Buffalo Bills DBs. That's the Why So Serious right there.
Here we go.
Say the Buffalo Bills DBs are going to be the villain of the week. Earlier, Davis, you said when you went back home that, some people didn't know you when you went to play your former team. Well, that's the same mindset that these DBs got to have. They got to go in there and play as if nobody know them and they want to make a name for themselves. They need to go look up some highlights of you and realize the intangibles and how you can get between going from not known to being elevated to star status. And Monday night is where they're going to prove it.
That's what I'm talking about. They call
I'm fired up right now.
Bright
I'm
lights.
fired up. Let's go.
Absolutely. Bright lights, Stevie. Monday Night Football. Yeah, strap these boys. Monday Night Football, some somewhat unknowns on the stage. I said it earlier. They're throwing the ball down the field more than anybody in the NFL. Buffalo DBs, let's go.
Yep, you got to do it. You got to do it. And on top of this, you guys lost to these guys the past 2 times. It wasn't the same team, of course, but you lost at home and you lost on the road. Not to mention a playoff loss. And then one of your former teammates, they say, I'm out of here, peace, and I'm going to Jacksonville. And okay, you got to take that personal. And I'm connected with a lot of DBs, and they take a lot of things personal. That's why you see them saying, hey, no, you ain't doing it even when the pass was overthrown. You got to do all of that. Get under their skin. You have to. And I want to see a lot of that this Monday night.
All right, now one other big thing for Monday night that our friends at FanDuel are offering up, you can now bet fantasy matchups head-to-head, which it's like, how many times have you been in a fantasy matchup with someone and you're like, oh, we have these 2 guys, I know my guy's gonna kill you. Now you can go to FanDuel and do it. We got a lovely Josh Allen versus Trevor Lawrence matchup. I know the Josh odds are minus 182, but maybe some nice plus money value on Lawrence, but you can bet Gabe Davis against Keon Coleman. So if as Stevie says, if these DBs are gonna shut down Gabe Davis coming back, Keon Coleman plus money, I don't hate that.
FanDuel, just bringing the heat week after week.
DBs are shutting them down.
And speaking of FanDuel, let's throw to myself and the Streeter Same Game Parlay. Take it away, me. We're on Queen Street doing a little Same Game Parlay for Ravens Cowboys with FanDuel. Let's see what the streets are saying. Scooter guy, football fan? Bike guy, you a football fan? No? Ooh, Matumbo, finger wag. He wanted no part of me.
Not in my house.
Football fan? No? Thought Discount Pitbull would have stopped. We are doing a little Same Game Parlay with FanDuel for Ravens Cowboys. Let's start with the game. Who do you like? Ravens minus 1.5 point spread.
Cowboys.
Going with the Cowboys? How come?
Because Ravens are 0-2.
All right, but don't you think though that gives them more urgency to win?
I haven't really kept up with either of those teams, but I'm going with my boy Derrick Henry.
That's simply not possible. Why isn't it possible? It's just not.
So wait, no, you said you like the Cowboys though. Derrick Henry's on the Ravens.
Oh yeah, you're right. Still taking the Cowboys.
Okay. All right, now.
I am taking that Henry anytime TD.
Henry anytime TD. Okay, so there we go. And then anything else you see on here you like?
Where's the total under?
The total right there, game total 48.5. You like the under?
Yeah, 48.5. Yeah.
Okay, so we got Cowboys plus 1.5. We got Derrick Henry score. We got under 48.5. Go to FanDuel, make that bet.
I will if you give me the money.
I don't know if I can do that. My guy with the magical beard. Are you a football fan? No? It was a nice beard. Football fan? You football fan?
Bill suck.
All right. Okay. For Ravens Cowboys, let's start with the game. Who do you like?
I like the Cowboys.
How come?
Baltimore's offensive line is just in shambles. Dallas got their heads kicked in last week by the Saints. Let's see if Dallas can come out and make some plays.
This man knows what he's talking about. We found the biggest football fan on Queen Street.
I still like Derrick Henry on an anytime touchdown. Alvin Kamara went off for 4 touchdowns. You got to think Henry's bound for 1. Lamb receptions over 6.5. I just don't see anybody else on that Cowboys offense really.
Hold on. You know what? Let me hold your coffee. You hold the mic. You are running this segment.
Prescott passing touchdowns. I'm going to go under a touchdown and a half. That Baltimore secondary and defense is deadly. Take the under on that one.
Got a lot of legs on there. You stopping there?
Let's see. I'm trying to think here. Elliott rushing yards, 36 and a half. I'd go the under 36 and a half. Total under. I'd take the under 23 and a half instead of the over.
Let's make that on FanDuel. This is your show. You're great. You're doing a great job hosting. So thank you for that, man.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
You a football fan at all? No? Football fans? Like, bro, you a football fan? No? Excuse me, sir. Are you a football fan at all?
A little bit.
Maybe. You want to make a little same game parlay with FanDuel?
Oh, what? This is American football.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
All right. See you later.
So some interesting takes on the same games.
They always are on the streets, man.
They really are. The streets of Toronto yield some interesting opinions. I'm curious to know your opinions on what to expect on Sunday as the Baltimore Ravens visit the Dallas Cowboys. Baltimore 0-2 in desperate need of a win. And historically, Lamar Jackson 20-1 against NFC opponents, Davis. Does he make it 21-1?
No, the Baltimore Ravens going to go 0-5, boys.
They are.
Wow.
They're going to go 0-5. They legitimately could go 0-5. Look at who they got. They got Dallas, Buffalo, Cincy. There's a legit chance the Ravens go 0-5, and they're still a top 5 team in the NFL. Top 5 team in the NFL going 0-5. If they go 0-5, tell me 5 teams that are better than the Baltimore Ravens.
Honestly,
You
man,
are
like,
what your record is.
No, you're not, though. That's the crazy part, though. You never find that, but I'm going to say right now, the Ravens could legit go 0-5, and I would still put them as a top 5 team in the NFL at that point.
So I was going to ask the question, who are we more concerned about, the Ravens or the Bengals?
Cincinnati's going to go 2-2. I'm not concerned with either of those teams, to be honest with you. The Cincinnati will be 2-2 after 2 weeks. They got 2 easy games. They should go 2-2, and the Ravens are too good of a team to be concerned with. But over the next 3 weeks, I could see how, if you're looking at the records, I'd be more concerned with the Ravens, but they're loaded.
Here's my question, though. They are loaded, but do their parts fit? We know Lamar Jackson operates best out of the gun. Derrick Henry operates best with a quarterback under center so we can get that downhill run moving forward. So if those two things seem to be working against each other, is Derrick Henry the fit that everybody thought he would be in Baltimore?
Honestly, maybe not. And I think we should definitely be worried about about the Ravens more so than we are about the Bengals. And Davis isn't far off. I actually got them being 1-4 at this point, with them probably edging Cincinnati. But with that being said, about the running game and Lamar, you win. You got a 2-time MVP. Your coach is loved around the league. You got that aura. And then you bring in this guy who was basically brought the running game back. And now you guys are potentially going to go, like David said, 0-5, 1-4. That's worrisome, even though you still may have a chance later on in the end to, squeak out wins. But I mean, you're just putting yourself in too many tight situations, and teams are getting better also. And they're catching on to the running game. So
that O-line is a mess too. Max Crosby wrecked that game.
Okay.
They're rotating out a right tackle. They're playing 2 right tackles. Like, how, as an offensive line, are you supposed to have any kind of cohesion when you're rotating out a right tackle throughout the game?
It was a disaster in the second half for the Baltimore Ravens. No one would possibly dispute that. Losing to the Raiders, blowing that 10-point lead, inexcusable. They are a toenail away, however, from being 1-1. And I think we're giving way too much credit to the Dallas Cowboys, a team that just gave up 44 points to Derek Carr. Lamar Jackson.
You mean the best offense in the NFL,
Yeah,
the New Orleans
for 2
Saints?
weeks. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens will be just fine. I think they're going to take care of business on the road in Dallas, and all will be calm. All will be collected in Ravens Nation. What is it? Hashtag Ravens Flock. I think the hashtag will be just fine on Twitter, and I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit when it comes to the demise of the Baltimore Ravens.
Does Cincy worry you guys at all, though? Because we have the Chase contract issue. T. Higgins been hurt. Joe Burrow has that weird wrist injury, but they looked good against KC. They probably, I know people are going to be like, oh, the refs screwed them, but the refs also bailed them out on the play before that. So, like, everyone take a breath there.
Hey, what conversation or question have we heard more in media and in everywhere than, are you concerned with fill in the blank? Are you concerned with fill in the blank. Well, shoot, the only team we're not concerned with is the Kansas City Chiefs. So why don't we just say, yes, I'm concerned with 31 teams.
Maybe we should be concerned about the Chiefs. Hollywood Brown out, Isaiah Pacheco out. Who's going to be a running back?
Yeah, now maybe they're
Carson
concerned
Steele?
too. That's just the. I
See,
mean,
the
that's
thing,
the
though, the
life.
thing with the Chiefs, with people being injured and out, like they've proven last year, okay, people can be injured. We might not have the best, but we won the Super Bowl, so they're always going to be the threat.
Probably shouldn't doubt Kansas City. I apologize, Patrick.
I get for sure, Davis. You know this. You've been in media a long time. It's like we need that stuff to talk about. But I think with both of those teams, there kind of is real concern just when you look at the numbers, and when you start this slow, you just don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, you make a great point, and they're good conversations, and they're needed conversations. But that just tells us, and we've talked about it. Every team has issues, and it's just a matter of how big are the issues. How do you mask them? I always say one thing about the NFL, and Stevie can attest to this as well. The edges of your teams, if there's issues there, they're tough to cover up. Offensive tackle, defensive end, cornerback. If you have wide receiver, if you don't have guys that can either stop people from having to double team or create a double team, it messes up the numbers game. So inside linebacker, defensive tackle, you can kind of mask those type of injuries. Running back, you can mask those. But if your edges are messed up, you got big problems because you can't. It's hard to fix them.
And that's what I think the issue is with Baltimore is the O-line. That tackle situation is ugly, and Max Crosby showed exactly why last week.
Defense too, with Mike McDonald, now the head coach of Seattle. They're adjusting to new schemes, and it's pretty obvious it's a work in progress. We saw it in the fourth quarter against the Raiders.
Okay, so then now we know it seems like everybody has concern, as Davis just pointed out, and it's almost more so this year than ever before that all of the teams look flawed. We know the offensive numbers are down. You're a DB. Let's bring up the graphic here. 69 touchdown passes through the first 2 weeks. It was 86 last year. It was 105 the year before. It was 110 before that. Is everybody just playing super safe, two deep safeties, and that's eliminating the passing game? Like, what's going on with offenses? Why are they starting so slow?
I would pass that to Stevie. Stevie probably can. Steve, what's your thought on that? Because I got some. I want to hear yours.
No, that's a great point to bring up, and I just credit that to players getting better. More players joining Davis Sanchez training camp, in the offseason. So, they're getting better at finding the ball in the air. They're starting to see more of this space creator moves, is not foreign to them as much. So, you see the gap kind of being balanced now. And I think that just plays into that. Players are getting better. The edge rushers are getting faster again. Talent is rising. So I think it's good for the game, and it's like chess. It's like playing chess now, not just checkers where you can throw that thing everywhere and make plays. Now you got DBs that's just as versatile as these receivers.
Is there anything that's changed since you left the league that stands out? You just mentioned some, but what do you think stands out the most in how the game's changed?
I would say that, like, being able to identify this new route style. Like the Justin Jeffersons, Jamar Chases. I'm not saying that DBs are locking them down. I'm just saying that they now know how to train for this style now. That when I was playing, no DB was training for it. They rarely seen it as consistent as they did. Even the best one in Darrelle Revis couldn't understand how to stop it. So now with this YouTube, like I said, your training camps, it's making the talent get better, so it's just a testament to that offseason work that they're putting in and being able to match with these trailblazers on offense.
I just want to say, and credit to Stevie for bringing that up. If you're a Bills fan, not a Bills fan, just go Google or go to YouTube and watch Stevie Johnson own Darrelle Revis with his route running, the unorthodox, the basketball move style of route running from Stevie. This man owned one of the best corners in football for a long time. And just I love that you just worked that into the convo, Stevie. Pat yourself on the back for that one.
Look, I don't prop that up or claim that like that to be like I owned them and things like that. But,
the tape doesn't lie.
There, though. It's evident when you playing basketball on football field, the football players, they don't really understand how to guard that because we're playing football. We're on a football field. that was what my advantage was. That's why I felt like I was a glitch, because I ran my routes like a hooper instead of like a football player, and that was the difference.
And when you talk about releases, and I watched a lot of Stevie Johnson, when you talk about releases off the line, there's not many better than Stevie. His lateral movement, his quickness, the hips, just getting off the line and is pretty filthy.
All I'm thinking of is I'm in a rec hoop league on Monday nights. The bricklayers need a player. When Stevie's in town, maybe I get you on the court. And we see if Stevie still got it on the basketball court as well.
Let's do it. Broken Table Squad. Let's do it.
Oh, I
We
mean,
need to
good
set up
team.
the Broken Table League.
All right, on that note, I think let's go to our staff parlay. And we were 2-2 last week. Me and Aaron pulled our weight. Takia and Stevie went with the chalk pick of the Niners too. And of course, you gave the stat they hadn't won in Minnesota since '92. And that streak still continues. But Stevie, you're going a little bolder with your pick this week. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm going to go even bolder. I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley with 2 rushing touchdowns. Ooh. He had a tough week last week towards the end of the game where he missed the pass. He got to lock in. Yeah, okay, we got you. Now, I think he will come back strong because that offense, they know that they need that running game later on for this team to go where they want to go. So I think they're going to force the issue with Saquon and get him 2 touchdowns.
Real quick on that, he had that really, really big drop, and I hate to bring this up though. You are a guy who I was at the stadium when it happened. I was hugging prematurely that game against the Steelers in OT. How does it feel to when essentially a game can be clinched and then it falls in your hands? How does that motivate you the next week?
Man, you feel like you let everybody down. The feeling that I had was I felt like I let everybody down. My teammates, the city, my fam. I didn't lock in. I was thinking about jumping into the stands before I even caught the pass. I just was so comfortable with knowing that I'm going to be unguarded, and I didn't lock in. So it didn't hurt me mentally with my confidence, but it just made me more hungry to get to that next game, to find that next defense or the next DB that I can embarrass so that I can try to get this bad light off of me. So I think that's why I chose Saquon Barkley to do what I feel like he's going to do this next game, because he's ready to get that bad taste out of his mouth.
And I will stick with the running backs. Last week I went with Jahmyr Gibbs rushing yards, which he hit pretty easily. This week I'm sticking with Gibbs. I'm going rush and receive. It's a really low number, 77.5. This dude is the most explosive guy in football.
He's awesome.
Like let's until these lines are put up to where I think they should be, which is maybe like 84, 85.5. I'm going to keep hammering Gibbs.
I'm taking Travis Kelce over 48.5 receiving. This is a guy who had 1 catch for 5 yards last week. He's on 39 receiving yards through 2 weeks. He is due for a breakout. He's still running the same number of routes as he did last year, the year prior, on the field for 91% of snaps. It's an inevitability. This is the breakout week for Travis Kelce, and his girl Taylor Swift will be there to support both me and her boyfriend.
AK doesn't miss very often, so you might want to pay attention to that. I'm going over 43 for Christian Kirk in that Bills game. I just think it's a good matchup for Kirk, who's as good of a slot as anybody.
Go to FanDuel, make the staff parlay. Let's hope we got a winner for you this week.
And this concludes week number 3 of Broken Table. What a treat it is to have Davis with us.
That was fun.
Thanks to Stevie, thanks to Chris, and thanks to our audience for being with us. We'll be back next week. Broken Table, week 4.